In this budget, there is a lot of tax benefit is given by way of in enhancing the minimum slab for taxation. For the employees, from which was 5 lakh rupees, they have increased to 7 lakh rupees. From 7 lakh rupees to 9 lakh rupees, the slab rate has come down, and up to 15 lakhs it has gone up. So that is a great benefit for I would say employees of the companies, or whoever earns by salaries or other incomes, which helps quite a lot, because the common man is benefited. One is when the slab rate has gone up, income tax rate has gone up, a lot of money comes into their hands, which they spend for family requirements, for both consumer items as well as the generic areas. So that helps quite a lot of the consumption increases, and when the consumption goes, the industrialization picks up, because the demand goes up, the more production comes up. So in my opinion, the tax rebate which is given to the common man by way of salaries or by way of other incomes is a great initiative in this budget, which helps both more money to the people to meet the increased expenses, as well as more money to spend more, which also helps the consumption, as well as more into the production areas and enhancement of the competitiveness of the companies, and more investments can come. And if you really look at, nearly around 150 million employment is generated, and I must say, out of 150 million employment, nearly 80% of the employees or salaried people will get benefited out of this tax break, which is an enhanced tax break which the government has given in this budget. It is a great budget from that point of view, which helps both directly and indirectly Indian economy. New tax slab is starting 5 lakhs to 7 lakhs. They have increased for minimum level. Then every 7 to 9 lakhs, 9 to 12 lakhs, 12 to 15 lakhs, they have given a slab reduction in income tax rate. That helps quite a lot. I need to go into much more detail what are the specific taxes, but in general, the reduction in tax rates has helped quite a lot. But it's starting only from 7 lakhs instead of 5 lakhs, which was there earlier prior to the budget. On the old regime, the tax slab minimum started from 5 lakh rupees. Now it is from 7 lakh rupees. So which means it is not only that those who are getting 5 lakhs from 7 lakhs, but who are earlier in 7 lakhs bracket also they get a benefit. That means the number of people who got benefited out of this reduction in income tax by enhancing the limit is much higher. In this budget, the government has also addressed some critical areas the MSME, micro, small and medium enterprises is facing. One is specifically when their payment is much delayed. As a result, most of the MSMEs has a cash flow difficulties. Government has now made it that for any purchaser who buys goods from MSME, if they need to get a tax benefit out of their expenses towards MSME, they will get only if they have paid the money to the MSME for the concerned purchaser. This helps quite a lot of MSMEs out of their cash flow. I must say nearly 90% of the MSMEs is affected by the cash crunch. That will get sorted out. By this budget, because government and the budget is ensuring that MSMEs has to be paid on time. That is a great initiative. In addition, on the government contracts, there are various clauses by which the MSMEs also will be subjected to certain penalties, etc., for failure in execution time, for various reasons. The failure or delay in execution could be a lot of issues related to natural calamities or strike or other areas. Even then the MSME was targeted by the purchaser, then they need to pay for that delays and delivery, which government has now given a rebate by saying that up to 95% can be given back to them if it has happened during COVID or extended periods. That helps quite a lot. Another area which as government has done, skilling. Skilling is done across the sectors, whether it is agri sector, pharma sector, capital goods manufacture or MSME, is given quite a lot of benefit on the skilling. And by skilling means, because henceforth for the new area, new industry, new economy, it's all digitization. So government is focusing on the digitization in terms of artificial intelligence or robotics or blockchain, other areas, and at the same time also for industry 4.0. Government is also giving quite a good benefit in terms of the infrastructure being made available for training the people, continuously training, because their continuous training is very essential to absorb the new digital technology which is coming up. That is a great initiative. Another third initiative is the infrastructure, and government has put a lot of money on the infrastructure, nearly 20 lakh crores on the infrastructure, because whatever we produce, if you have to get into the global market, our infrastructure has to be up to date. So that helps quite a lot. In my opinion, the budget is really good. Thank you.
The first takeaway is that this is a very politically correct budget, that much I can say on the forefront. Other thing is that how the economics and the arithmetic add up for the numbers, we'll have to see in a greater depth. But definitely the push on infrastructure and the spending on infrastructure, last mile connectivity will help our logistics industry in a great way. And what I see is that government is definitely not into the divestment mode as had been earlier, but they are sure and confident to ramp up the finances to support all the growth initiatives in the coming days or the coming year. Over and above that, what I see through the budget is that this is a budget, or rather a blueprint for the next 5 years at least, that much I can say. If the foundation is laid correct, then the next term of Mr. Modi, if he comes back, will be a great period for India. The highlight for the common man will definitely be the income tax relief, and also the default income tax being the new regime. And the other highlight is basically the way she has portrayed the social schemes and how they will fund it and what it will be actually getting into the last person standing in the queue. Also, over and above that, what I see is that it is the old time saying that the infrastructure and capex spending develops 5 into traction. So if that is true, then whatever amount of money the government is spending on this capex and various infrastructures will definitely lead to growth. And what I am foreseeing is that if this budget takes shape in the true form and shape, India's GDP will definitely grow above 7 or 7.5%. Benefits for the individual taxpayers are on the income tax. So the numbers have been highlighted by the FM. But on the hindsight, I think the tax compliance has increased, which is a big thing for the government as well as for the taxpayers. In fact, the taxpayers' clarity on the whole aspect of tax has improved. The direct taxes are basically increasing because of 2 counts. One is basically on the rise in income level of all individuals, as FM has told that the per capita or per household income has doubled to almost 2 lakh rupees. So that is what is actually giving a fillip to all these growth initiatives. So if you look at the direct tax collection has been up by or almost double in the last 7 years. So is the indirect taxes. So this is giving the government to be more confident of spending in the future.
So my big takeaway, several things. One, a very positive budget. Usually in the past, I've seen most of the budgets are about 8.5 on 10. This time I would say it is really 9.5 on 10. Several things, big takeaway will be capital expenditure that has been done is 10.5 lakh crore that the Honorable Finance Minister has announced on the capex. Second is the focus on digital, the focus on training, focus on entrepreneur startups, and the focus on bringing down the tax, certainly for the middle class and for the salaried. So it is a very comprehensive budget that has been announced by the Finance Minister, taking into account all sectors and all segments of the communities. So clearly, this was one of the expectations that we had from this budget, given that we are going to the election year. So there was a thought that there will be personal tax relief. But the thought was that it would largely be really for the entry guys in the tax regime, i.e., the guys who are really in the 5 lakh rupee range and not going up the pyramid chain. But clearly the Honorable Finance Minister has done not only increasing the 5 lakh to 7 lakh limit, they've also done in the mid level, but they've also done at the top level, which is really nice. It is very encouraging that now the topmost slab including the surcharge, which was earlier at 42%, has now come down to 39%. So clearly that has gone down the full value chain, which wasn't an expectation, but is a very pleasant surprise. Several highlights. One is what surprised me was the capex that has been done is 10.5 lakh crore, which can potentially impact the economy up to 50-60 lakh crore. The second has been really on the digitization, and that has been a common theme. The third is on the real estate, particularly the focus on the affordable housing that the Honorable Finance Minister has said is. And the fourth is the thought that where will this money come in from? It does look like that the Finance Minister continues to remain very optimistic on the GST collection. So it's largely going to come in from indirect, and that's why there was a tax relief given to the salaried and the middle class population through direct income tax rebates. Several things. One, the focus of the Honorable Finance Minister continues to remain on affordable housing. 79,000 crores new outlay for PMAY, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Second is the benefits that continue with the gift city, more benefits being given, and it is becoming a very, I would say, is interesting concept, not only in India, but also globally. And the third, importantly, is the focus that has been given on to Tier 2, Tier 3 cities by introducing municipal bonds for uplifting the infrastructure, the urban infrastructure. That is exciting because that does uplift the real estate sector in those Tier 2, Tier 3 cities.
The largest takeaway is in the area of the capital outlay, which is about 13.5 lakh crores have been put up as part of this budget. Almost 33% increase, which can be a major booster for the economy, and if this amount is fully spent, there can be a huge multiplier effect in the economy. The second area that we could see very clearly is the green focus of the government. I think this will be very, very helpful in terms of sustainable development. The green credit scheme, which has been recently started, we have to understand the finer details of the scheme, but this can be a major booster for again the investments that we are making in heavy industries, in cement and steel, for developing sustainable technology. So I think this can be a big support to the industry on this term. The third area is this focus on the digitization, on artificial intelligence, machine learning, etc., and development of the skilled manpower in this direction. I think this can chart a completely new modern course for a new India that we are talking about, and this is not going to be overnight. I'm sure it will take 5 to 7 years of consistent effort to transform the entire skill force into a very modern technology skill force. So I think these three are probably my major takeaways, which helps the economy. I think the same. These are the highlights. I would say 1, 2, 3. The capital outlay, the overall focus on the skilling in the artificial intelligence and other areas, development of the 3 AI centers, pharmaceutical development, the central national digital library. All these things are very innovative and very modern steps which have been taken. And on the area of the green technologies, sustainability of the green technologies. So the green credit scheme and the national hydrogen mission, all these things are going to give a major fillip to heavy industries which are working on sustainable technologies. I would say that we could have done much more on the direct taxes, on the IT reforms. The finance minister has brought down to 5 slabs. The lowest slab is still, from 2.5 to 3 lakh rupees is a marginal increase. I think there could have been a much more radical transformation in this area. And I think to increase the tax base, we have to make it simpler, and we need to make it much better. So there is more expectation from the government on this area. Startups, I think they have been increased the tenure of the tax rate. That is certainly going to happen, but the overall environment in the startup has been extremely well built up. There are good schemes from the government to promote the startup activities, and we have already seen in the past 2 or 3 years, I think it is taking very good shape.
This budget has one big announcement for startups and couple of small announcements. And the big announcement is really big, because in startups we have not seen a large number of startups in the agriculture sector impacting rural lives, which is a big sector. This budget has now announced that there will be an accelerator fund for this agriculture sector, specifically for the agriculture sector, which I think will have a massive ripple effect. The moment you start seeing more and more startups in the agriculture sector connected to storage, connected to first mile, last mile, the impact is large. And there are some small measures where the time limit for exemption has been extended. But overall, it's very positive. Startups are now recognized as a sector, as a big sector, which can contribute to the economy, which can generate employment. And this budget will only give a massive fillip to an already robust startup ecosystem in India. We are the third largest startup ecosystem in the world, and I have no doubt in my mind that we are on the path to become the second largest in a couple of years' time. This budget will trigger that journey. For the salaried middle class people, this budget is good. It's got good news because tax rates have been reduced, particularly for people in the middle class income, and that will mean more income for the hands and pockets of housewives and middle class people. Indirect taxes, which is customs duty and all, also have been reduced, but the impact of that we'll see. That will also have overall impact where the cost of buying some items may get reduced, which we'll get to know by tomorrow. So overall, it's good news for middle class. This budget has got a massive coverage. It has covered a lot of areas, and it's comprehensive as well. It has covered infrastructure, it has covered skilling, it has covered agriculture, it has covered manufacturing. You name an area and it has covered. So I would say, after a long time, I've seen a budget which has got so much coverage and is so comprehensive as well as detailed. So a super budget for 2023. We can only look forward to good times ahead.
This is a very progressive budget. It will have a multiplier effect on the economy. I am very sure about it. The finance minister has announced a lot of schemes where the investment in manufacturing will increase, the demand of the products and services will also increase. So overall, a very positive budget. She has also given good numbers of fiscal deficit, and they have kept their promise of controlling it to, and the next year promise is for 5.9%, which is also good. And she has also talked about bringing it down to below 4.5% in next 2 years, which is a very, very good target. So overall, very positive budget. I'll say 8.5 to 9 numbers out of 10. So these are highlights. There are a lot of announcements on education and skilling, which is also good. They have talked of 100 skilling centers to be set up, which will help the Indian youth to become employable. So which will also address the current issue of unemployment. So India will have a lot of young people who will be employed in industries. So in the direct tax also there are benefits like income tax slab. From 5 lakhs, the exemption limit has gone up to 7 lakhs, which will help the middle class and salaried people. In the old regime also there are benefits, and in the new regime also, because the investment limits in the old regime have also increased. So it will have more disposable money in the hands of small taxpayers. And for ultra rich people, the highest slab rate, where also 37% surcharge has been brought down to 25%, which is also a welcome step. The overall very positive budget. Apart from this, finance minister has also included a lot of our suggestions on ease of doing business, where they have talked about setting up e-courts. They are talking about setting up resolution mechanisms. They are making business more transparent, especially decriminalization of business laws, which is very positive for business people and industry.
I think this budget had laid out a good path on energy transition and also the inclusive growth, which the finance minister talked about. I think the grid inclusive of bringing regions like Jammu Kashmir, Ladakh and Northeastern into the national grid is a very positive direction. I think these regions have been for a long time have been out of the grid, and I think this is a very positive direction. The second important aspect of the budget has on the energy segment has been the energy transition. I think 35,000 crores outlay for net zero initiatives and decarbonization is excellent. The last month announcement of hydrogen mission, where they put 19,700 crores of outlay in hydrogen, is also a positive part. I think India as a country, I think we need to move towards sustainable area, and I think the goals are in line with that, and the budget direction is very positive. Also, what I see now, the finance minister touched about biogas in the rural segment, and also the CNG, the compressed natural gas. This is the future. So it's a good mix of rural and urban. On the urban side, there is a custom duty relief on CNG equipments, and at the same time on the rural side, the biogas, putting more biogas footprints in part. I think the capital outlay definitely is very, very positive. We need to see the finer details of the capital outlay increase, which definitely has a lot of influence on the energy segment, and I personally believe that this is the right direction. What we have seen in the past, the economy grows on capex, or the capital outlay on capex, the government spend has been increased by 33%, which is a very positive direction. One of the key challenges the country has been facing, especially the manufacturing segment, is the skill. The government bringing this 100-odd skill centers across the world, I think across the country, is a very, very one of the top initiative of the budget. Fiscal deficit, I think government has been putting number of prudent steps to continue to bring and reduce in the direction towards 5.9% is a very good part. Coming to infrastructure, the focus has been mainly on the Tier 1 cities. I think this budget brought focus on Tier 2 and Tier 3, a very positive movement. I think these are my high points of the budget.